For decades, Fleetwood Mac has been more than just a band. They've been a storm of passion, betrayal, creativity, and chaos. At the heart of it all, Stevie Nicks, the mystical frontwoman whose voice and lyrics turned heartbreak into poetry. And now, at 78, Mick Fleetwood, the band's co-founder and backbone, is finally pulling back the curtain, exposing secrets about Stevie, about the band's inner wars, and about the price of living inside the eye of a rock and roll hurricane. Flashing concert clips of Stevie Nicks twirling in her shawl, black and white photos of a young Mick Fleetwood behind his drum kit, tabloid headlines of Fleetwood Mac feuds. But the question is, what truths were hidden all these years? And why now? Imagine holding secrets for nearly half a century. Would you reveal them to the world, or take them to your grave? Mick Fleetwood was born in Cornwall, England in 1947. A dreamer, a restless soul. He fell in love with rhythm long before he ever touched fame. In the mid-60s, he formed Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green, John McVie, and Jeremy Spencer. At first, they were a British blues band, pure, raw, and electric. But fate had other plans. Archival footage of Fleetwood Mac's early blues days in London. Black and white promo shots of the original lineup. Young Mick on drums. When Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham joined in 1975, the band was reborn. With Stevie's haunting presence and Mick's steady heartbeat behind the kit, Fleetwood Mac became unstoppable. Think about it. How often does one new voice completely transform an entire band's destiny? But success came at a cost. Behind the stage lights was a battlefield of love, betrayal, and broken trust. Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham's fiery romance collapsed. Christine and John McVie divorced. And through it all, Mick Fleetwood kept the band alive, even as he fell into his own secret affair with Stevie. Montage of Rumour's album cover, studio shots, newspaper clippings of the band's feuds, intimate backstage photos of Stevie and Mick. Mick later admitted the affair nearly destroyed the band. He called it a dangerous and reckless moment in their history, but it was also proof of how entangled Fleetwood Mac had become, musically, emotionally, and dangerously. Could you create beautiful music with someone you were secretly falling for, knowing it might destroy everything? Out of chaos came brilliance. Rumours, 1977, became one of the best-selling albums in history, over 40 million copies worldwide. Songs like Dreams, Go Your Own Way, and The Chain weren't just hits, they were confessionals. Raw emotion carved into vinyl. And Stevie Nicks? She became a rock goddess. Her shawls, her voice, her words, unforgettable. She was the mystical lightning. Mick Fleetwood, the grounding thunder. Footage of Rumour's recording sessions. Wide shots of massive stadium crowds. What song from Rumour still gives you chills every time you hear it? But the storm didn't stop. Drugs, alcohol, and ego battles nearly consumed Fleetwood Mac. Mick filed for bankruptcy. Stevie battled addiction. Lindsey was fired from the band twice. And still they played on. Each reunion was messy, but magical. Each farewell never. 80s footage of the band looking worn down. Tabloid headlines about drug use. Stevie in interviews about her struggles. Mick later confessed the band's survival was a miracle. He called Fleetwood Mac a dysfunctional family that somehow made the dysfunction into art. Do you think great art requires great suffering? Or can music shine without the chaos behind it? Decades later, Fleetwood Mac remains legendary. From their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to sold-out reunion tours, to Stevie Nicks becoming the first woman inducted twice, once with the band, once solo. And Mick Fleetwood, now 78, reflects with honesty. He admits the band's greatest strength was also its greatest weakness. The tangled web of love, hate, and secrets that fueled their music. He says Stevie's spirit was the soul of the band. That without her, Fleetwood Mac would never have soared. Footage of Fleetwood Mac's Hall of Fame induction. Stevie's solo career highlights. Mick's 2020 tribute concert for Peter Green. In Mick's own words, "We were a family, broken and mended 100 times. But we were a family." Do you think Fleetwood Mac would have been the same without Stevie Nicks? At 78, Mick Fleetwood isn't hiding the truth anymore. He's exposing it, not to shame but to celebrate. Because the secrets, the chaos, the pain, they were all part of the alchemy. Stevie Nicks was the mystery, the muse, and sometimes the madness. But she was also the reason Fleetwood Mac became eternal. Slow montage of Stevie and Mick on stage together. Fade into a black screen with the words, "Legends are not perfect, but they endure." What do you think? Was Fleetwood Mac's greatest secret the love they couldn't contain, or the music they left behind? If you enjoyed this deep dive into rock history, hit subscribe for more untold stories. Drop a comment. What's your all-time favorite Fleetwood Mac song? And share this video with every fan who still believes in the magic of Stevie Nicks and Mick Fleetwood, because their story is our story.